All right, hey guys, Jamo here. We're going to be doing the second part for advanced parts. This is a advanced part, in my opinion, because it's on the CSWA exam, and it's got some tricky features to it to complete if you don't have a good understanding of all the tools in your belt. So we're going to bust this one out so we can talk about some of those things. And yeah, normal stuff, good practices. You can pause the video here, try to make this part, but we are going to do two parts in this video. We're going to do this part, which is part 1, V1, whatever you want to call it. We're going to save it as part 1 or V1 or whatever you want. Then we're going to make edits to the actual part using features, cuts, and all that noise. Not just going in and changing A, B, and C or the material and then checking the properties. This one we're actually going to change the physical shape and look of the part using features. So that will be on your CSWA. You're going to have to make a part and then edit that part. What my teacher always told us is it's going to be a part with a hole, and then you're most likely going to have to put another hole in that part. But that's very simplistic views. That's a very simplistic description. He's correct. It's almost always another hole or another cut into the part. So with that, this is a good example. So let's bust on it. A38, B77, C56, plain carbon steel. We're going to draw from the front view. We're going to get all of this in, including the circle, and we're just going to extrude it out. And we're going to finish part 1 really quickly. I think they did that on purpose. One feature, one drawing. Just know how to do the drawing and the feature. You can get your points. The next part is what makes it a little more advanced. The next section, when you have to edit this part and then make sure that you have everything right. Because if you messed up one dimension on this part and you go and edit the next part, you're going to have wrong answers for both. And they'll do things where they'll make it so, let's say you put in B and A here and then you added these dimensions, but you didn't coincident this and you put them at 15 and you didn't fully define it, and this was just slightly off over here, like this little line here is slightly off. All your measurements are going to be off, and they know that those are common mistakes, and you'll go to do A, B, or C, and C will be right, and it'll be what you got, but you're wrong. So make sure you have everything right, so that when you go on to your next part, you're doubly right, like you're right for both portions of it. All right, so with all that, let's bust out a new part, and let's do this. We're gonna kind of fly through this part, because this portion of it is easy, and I do think most of you guys should be able to get this. If not, slow down the video, pause it, that kind of stuff, rewatch it. A 56, B 77, C 38. I might have gotten A and B backwards. Let's double check those. Come on, SoildWorks, don't do this to me. 38, 77, 56. 38, 77, 56. 38, 77, 56. Yep. 38, 77. Okay. Plain carbon steel. Drawing from the front plane. We don't know this height yet. We know there's kind of an angle off here, but when you do this tool, I've noticed when you pull to the right, you get circles. Sometimes you'll get a tangency circle, but it often works better when you come moving the mouse from left, then to right, and then off. So for this portion of this tool, I find it works better to go left, left to make a tangent, and then right, right to make a circle. I don't know if that's embedded in the code somewhere or how the program sees it, but that's how I come to understand it. So if you guys notice those feature relations or how to do those features, that's kind of what I see and how I do it. Okay, so let's put in a lot of these dimensions. This, I do believe, was actually just 50. Stop that. Normally this goes away, so when I'm exiting out, it's deleting it, which is totally weird. This is B. We know this distance here to be 15. We know these to be vertical, like I talked about. We know this, I believe, to be 24. And then these are both at angle 30. Sorry, my dog is chewing something up on second. Okay, I had to take that from him. He loves plastic water bottles, so he'll just tear them up and make a bunch of noise, and he won't stop, so. Okay, we're going to extrude this now. Oh, nope, we were skipping a step, sorry. Let's get back into that sketch, because we're not going to add features we don't need to, right? We're gonna do this as quick as possible. There's a circle in here. I believe it's 14. And then we got the distance, the circle from the bottom. I think it's, you know what? That's 14. I think this is 31. Let's double check all these numbers real fast, though. Okay. 19, 31, 15 through all. 19, 31, 15. So we got our 38, our 24, 19, 31, 15. Okay. We can now extrude this, and because it's going to extrude around that circle, we don't need to make that extra feature like we talked about, so that's cool. Throw that in there. All right, we've got our basic part. Cool. So like I mentioned, let's save as, and you can put this like on your desktop. That's the best place. Make like a folder called CSWA. Add your parts in ahead of time. Save them. That way you have one spot quickly on your desktop where you can go and reference these separate parts because they do become separate right now. So let's now open the drawing for the other part because it'll be in the test pretty clear for you, but for me I have to come and open these because they're my drawings. Okay, so with this you see the edits now. It's the same basic shape, but you can tell it looks a lot different because of their edits. They have some cuts off on the sides here that makes this tapered view. They have this circle, like I mentioned, you're going to probably cut a hole in it somewhere. Then they have this top view. But if you're like me and you want to do this as fast as possible, you can see the symmetry here. Everything is cut across this midplane perfectly symmetrical. So we're going to draw one half of it, and they even gave you only the dimensions for half of it. So that actually makes a lot of sense too. So let's pop in, sketch on the top plane, and let's start putting in some of these drawings that they have. They have this triangle up here. We know it to be a 45-degree angle, and we've talked about this before. As long as you have a couple of the lengths or a couple of the relations and an angle, it knows what the triangle will be and it'll fully define it. Let's put a center line in because we know we're going to use it. And now let's start making some of these drawings up here. We knew it came off from here, so we're going to start our drawing over here. We're going to come down. It had like a step, and then it came down over here, and we're going to stop it at this middle line. I think this was 6. This was, oh, not that. This was, god dang it, sorry guys. This was 18, something like that. This was related over here at 11, I remember that one. Let's double check these. This can get deleted because we actually need a dimension from here. I think this one was 14. 14, 6, 18, 11. 14, 8, 16, 11. 14, 8, 16, 11. Okay, and now what we can do is we can mirror all of this. Let's just grab all of this. We want that bottom line too. It doesn't matter if you get the center line because mirroring the center line will just overlap itself and that's fine. Now we need to make this a closed shape because it needs to be closed to extrude cut. And that should fully define it because it knows the distance to everything. Now we can extrude cut. And we'll just do through all because I think that works nicely for this part. Oh, look at that. Okay, a little circle with the hole, or a hole with a circle, whatever you want to say it. You can get both these mid lines related. We'll start it there. I think it was 14. But let's always add these dimensions in here. I think their dimension came from down here. And I think this dimension came from here. And we know it's 14. Let's drag this up here because that's how it looked in the image. Right? 28, 19, 14. We got those. Let's extrude cut it. 28, 19, 14. Extrude cut. And we're going to save that through all from before. So that's cool. Okay. Now we have this, the weirder feature on this whole thing that might be the part that'll stump a lot of you guys. And this was on my exam, the part I wasn't prepared for, and I kind of fought with it up until the end, but I did get it right. So I was able to figure it out, but this is why I wanted to show this tool specifically. We're going to use the Offset Entities tool because that's going to allow us to click these few lines that we need, and we're going to reverse the offset, and we're going to put it at 2 because we know that's what it shows in the image, right? 2. And all the way around, so they could have done 2 through, or 2 all around, or however you want to say it. There's a lot of ways in a drawing to show that. Let's close this, we don't need it anymore. Okay, so we have this profile now, and we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. Remember this little trick we showed? Let's drag this and let's make it coincident with this line, and now all we need to do is make it the same exact radius, and that should keep it 2 millimeters away from the edge, right? We know this was cut all the way through, so we can bring this line down. We know this section needs to cut 2 to this, but it also needs to be 2 to this because it looked like a shell. So let's make sure we have all those features in. Let's grab this. Let's put a line right up here. Let's figure out this distance. From this line, or that dot. Oh, not that dot. Actually worked out nicely though. You can see it's a 16 because it's grabbing this face here, and that's the same distance. So 16. So we can grab this to this and make it 16. And now we have technically 2 different profiles that we can cut. But let's think about this. We could extrude cut this sketch in 2 different extruded cuts, and we could do it in a way that solves all of our problems here. And if you're following me on that, let's take a think about this. Let's actually make this 18. Because that'll give us that 2 distance here. Now let's extrude cut this part, and we're going to go offset from surface of 2. Because we know 2 millimeters. Cool. And we can see it already cut in 2 past this part, right? Because we did 18. And we could, always double check that. I don't mind double checking things just to see regular distance 2. Cool. Now let's do one more extruded cut, and we're going to go into our views here. We're going to actually extrude cut on this sketch though. And we're going to do this part now. Same thing. Offset from surface. We'll save ourselves some time. This surface. I don't know why it's not auto-completing. It should. Interesting that it's fighting me. Let me double check and see if I'm doing something wrong here. Interesting. It's not liking that. Why? I don't know. So what we can do, this is an easy fix still. Let's not do offset from surface, let's do blind. And we know the distance to be up to this part, so we can kind of look at it from an aerial view and see. Where are we at? How far was this? This part I think was 14? Yeah. We're down to 12. That worked. Okay. If I sound surprised, it's because I kind of am. Sometimes SoildWorks will let you do things, it'll let you manipulate things, and sometimes it just won't. We're looking for this purple line now. That's the distance between them. It's 2. We're good. That is our part, guys. That's it for this one. She's kind of a difficult one. And again, it's mainly that convert entities tool and dragging the radius over and making everything really match and line up. And you can see our origin's at the correct spot because we extruded outwards from there. We could have done a mid-plane and the origin could be sitting right over here, which I think would be a better build in my opinion. But that's not how it was on the exam. So I wanted to do it the same way it was on the exam. Yeah. And one of the things I think I talked about in the beginning with the view and how you know it's not a shell, if you look at this left view, or this, front view, and we go back to the document, you can see how it looks the same. If I went in and, let's say, suppressed these 2, not that. Let's suppress this. If I grabbed a shell and shelled this at 2, it's going to shell the whole thing to 2. Now do you see that change in there? Yeah, you wouldn't want that. You'd have to go back through and essentially rebuild the part to this back half and extrude it all the way out, or extrude it that way, which just isn't correct. So let's Control Z and go back to showing you how it should look. Yeah, just like that. Cool. I'm going to put the mass properties for part 1, and then let's save this, of course, in our little CSWA thing on our desktop as part 1 with the edit, because that's what it should be. Now we're done. That is everything. So again, on the exam, you'll build part 1. You're going to have a choice of 4 options. All 4 of those mass properties are common mistakes. One of them is correct. So make sure you have everything drawn correctly from your first sketch to your first extrusion. And if you have the number right, at that point, you know part 1 is correct. Save it. Start building off of it. Build your second part. Now this one is not A, B, C, or D. It is the exact mass property. So this one, it takes the assumption that you got the first one right down to the double decimal, and then wants you to then get down to the double decimal with all your second edits perfectly. So if you're off by 1%, it's okay. So maybe if you get this like curved line off a little bit, you might have like a couple grams off. You might be able to pass, but good practice is making sure that you have it perfectly. That is it for this part, guys. Appreciate it. Check out the description for the mass properties of part 1 and part 2. I'll try to put in some like thumbnails, so maybe you can jump to each part, but I haven't done that yet. YouTube. This is all just kind of learning and trading experience. So if you guys see better ways to do this section here too, I think what I've done is a pretty good method of doing it. But if you guys see a better way of doing it, let me know. That'd be cool. I always take more advice. I think with the shell thing, there is a way, and almost at the end of this video, you guys can end it here if you guys want to. I'm going to fiddle around here and see if I can get the shell view to work nicely. Let's do multi-thickness. No. You see what that did? Yeah, it kind of extruded out that center point. Just kind of want to fiddle around with this and see if there is another way to... See how I did the show prefill there? Multi-thickness setting. So that's phase 2. What is that essentially doing? I don't know. So yeah, I think the best way to do this part is how I showed in the earlier parts of this video. If you guys see another way to do it, let me know for sure. But I do believe we got it pretty nailed down correctly. All right, guys, I think that's it for me. I appreciate it. We went a little bit longer just to test out some of that shell and see if we could make any of those edits there. All right, I appreciate you guys checking it out. Check out the description for all the information. We'll see you guys for part 3 of the advanced parts, and we're going to do one from the book, actually, that is, I think it's an older one that was in the old exam, but I think it does show up in the current exam, so we'll bust that out. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.